Welcome, everyone. Come on in. Grab yourself something to drink. And we will get started shortly. Welcome, Sometimes Vegan. So happy that you can join us. I'm going to let you guys listen to the music for a little bit. Let some more folks come on in. Hi, Candy, my love. Welcome, darling. Faded in San Diego, 2025. Hello. You walked about 9 miles and you're ready to relax. Well, relax, darling. Put your feet up and get ready for a spirited conversation. I'm waiting on Empath Lady to come in. And once she gets here, we'll get started. So just sit back and listen to the music. David Williams, Commonality. Welcome, my love. Welcome. And while we're waiting for Empath Lady, if anyone wants to join or to get on the panel, feel free to hit the link at the top. And if you hit the link at the top, that'll let me know that you want to come on. And I will bring you on to share whatever message that you want to share or participate. Tony, hi, darling. I'm going to click you in. And there's Empath Lady.
See if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Empath Lady. Hello, Tony, King Tony. Welcome.
Hi.
Good. Hi, welcome, everyone. Okay, let me turn this camera around.
Yes.
I'm getting
Which
better
way
at
do
this,
you?
Lily.
What was that, dear?
I'm getting better at this. I'm trying to turn the camera around. And I think I did.
We're like the blind leading the blind here.
That's okay. That's okay. Between the three of us, we can do just fine. Welcome. I'm so glad you guys, I'm so glad to see you.
Of
Now
course, I'm happy to see
Let me
you
turn
too.
our music down.
Your voice is a little hard to hear, Monica. Remember that happened before one time? Is your volume all the way up?
Can you hear me okay now?
I hear
It
you.
is. Can you hear me?
You great, but yeah, she's on a mobile phone, so it's possible that it's a little lower.
Let's see.
Yeah, Lily, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Not as good as
Okay, awesome.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you pretty good, Tony.
Yes,
Okay.
I hear you. I hear both of you just fine. Hi, Jeff.
No, I need
I
to.
see you in the background.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, ladies. Alrighty then.
Yeah.
Where's Monica's channel
Well,
here?
good. Well, good.
I don't know.
Actually, a friend of mine just sent me a mic, but I don't have the proper adapter for it, so I can't use it tonight. But maybe next time, I'll have it ready to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get started. Thank you guys so much, for joining the podcast tonight. I'm so excited to hear from Lily tonight. Now, I noticed there's some new people here. So for the folks, and I've made myself some notes because I'm bad about going on tangents and forgetting what I'm talking about. So I made myself a few notes. But I want to thank you guys for joining us. And I just wanted to give you like a brief for the newcomers. The older ones, all my story already. But the folks that are new, I just wanted to kind of share a little bit of history about me. A lot of us here are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and we've all gotten out of the cult. I was, I guess you can say, born in the organization, but it was so weird because I always felt like something was wrong with let me move this camera a little bit because I'm scooched over here. I always felt that I didn't belong in that organization. I always knew something deep within me. It just didn't sit right with me. And I remember sitting at the age of like 11 or 12 years old, sitting in the Kingdom Hall, looking around at the brothers nodding in agreement to everything, and the sisters dabbing their tears of happiness from their eyes about how wonderful it was to be in Jehovah's spiritual paradise.
Hey, Monica, hold on one second, honey. Can you hear me?
Wrong?
I'm going to hang up and use Jeff's phone because I can hear really good on his phone. So I'll join back on StreamYard on his phone. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, come back and join us now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway,
So hold this.
I remember in the Kingdom Hall feeling like something was terribly wrong with me, or something was terribly wrong with this congregation. I felt like a goat in a congregation full of sheep.
I know that feeling.
Something was terribly wrong. Yeah. And so I was in and out of the religion.
Are you
never
what
officially
generation?
got out, but was inactive for a while, came back, inactive for a while and came back. But about 10 years ago, my father was dying at the time, and on his deathbed, he said to me, Monica, he says, please, please don't leave the ark. Don't leave Jehovah's organization. Please don't let me wake up in a new system and you're not there. So I made a promise to my dad that I would try, to make the truth my own.
Right.
And, months after he passed away, I got in there and I contacted the elders and I said, I want to come back and I want to make the truth my own. So they hooked me up with a couple of the elder sisters there, and to try and to get me back where I needed to be, because I wanted to get back out and field service. And I had already started, but I felt like I didn't have enough knowledge, especially about the 607 BCE return of Christ 1914 thing. It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So we studied and studied and studied, and it just didn't jive with me. And finally, there's Lily again. Let me pop her back in.
No problem.
Yeah, to stage. There we go. Okay, how's that? Is that better, Lily?
Gosh, we can hear you like you were sounding in the Congo somewhere.
Yeah, her phone. It's the same
sound a lot louder.
I swear I'm not in the jungle. I'm in the woods, but not in the jungle.
I'm going to use my phone to look at comments. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway, after several weeks of diligent study, and I was still not getting it. So the elders came in to try and help me get it. And finally, they just told me, if you pray to Jehovah a little bit more, the Holy Spirit would come on me and I would understand. But in the meantime, do not share any information that I was gleaning or any questions about the organization or whatever the faithful and discreet slave was saying. Don't do
Yeah.
that because it's going to cause division in the congregation and yada, 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 that whole thing. And finally, it just, something clicked. And I decided to go outside of jw.org and do my own research on the dreaded internet. Yeah. And once I hit that button, and it was so weird because I was shaking like a leaf because I was afraid to go outside of the organization. And when I did go out of the organization and go on the internet, all this information came up that I had never heard of, about Beth Sarin and the Freemason ties with Charles Taze Russell.
Yeah.
The
Oh
doctrines.
my gosh.
And it just it devastated me because even though I knew in my core that it was wrong, it's all I ever knew. And I think we all had that little thing in the back of our head. What if we're wrong?
Yes.
What if we're wrong?
Yes.
And so I went through the whole gamut of the fear, the denial, the anger of being indoctrinated for so long with this false information.
Yes.
And that led me down the rabbit hole. That led me down the rabbit hole. My channel has been a journey of my spiritual path and my search for the truth, no matter what the cost would be.
Right.
And I went down many rabbit holes. From the beginning, I thought I was a born again Christian to a Black Hebrew Israelite. Yeah, but now from everything that I've gleaned and researched and pondered over, I've come to the conclusion now is that I am a sovereign, free spirit being encased in this meat suit or avatar, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that I am a spark of the divine creator. And I don't claim that I have all the answers to everything, nor do I think I ever will.
Right.
But what I do know is that we have been indoctrinated to believe that we are sinful beings that need to beg for forgiveness and worship to an inferior being that claims to be the grand creator, but is not.
Yep.
We have been totally misled.
Yep.
And I really feel that we are being awakened as to who and what we really are as the sons and daughters of the divine creator of the cosmos and everything in it.
That was great.
Somehow I think that, how do I put this? We found ourselves in some type of matrix system or some type of dimensional thing.
Yeah.
Like a simulation.
And religion has been set up as a means to instill fear and guilt in us to keep us under control.
Yep.
My goal now is to find my way out of this matrix. And Yeshua said to us, he says that there is a way out of here and to follow him. And he told us that the kingdom of God is within us. Nothing outside of us. Everything that we seek is within us. And it's about raising that Christ consciousness within each of us.
Yes.
And that's the place that I feel that we'll truly find true peace and discover who and what we really are. Now, to lay a few little ground rules, let me say this. Here on this channel, we are encouraged to ask any questions you like. Nothing is off limits. Nothing. We are here to learn and to bounce ideas off of each other. I lost my place here. To bounce ideas off of each other as we individually seek for the truth, as we search for the truth. Now, one thing that I will not tolerate is name calling, shaming, or anything, or shaming in that sort of like Pharisee type manner. If you disagree with anything that's being said or being covered, respectfully try and get your point across without all that shaming stuff. And I say this because on my Facebook account today, there was a message from someone that was just very negative. And what happened is I quoted a scripture, I misquoted a scripture. And instead of this person saying, you know, tactfully and lovingly pointing out, I think you're mistaken, he called me a liar, dishonest, and an occultist. I'm not gonna tolerate that.
Yeah.
There's no room for any type of negativity in that low vibrational field. We are here we're going to stay in that high love vibration.
Yes.
And everything that we're going to do comes from love.
Yes.
Period.
100%.
So, yeah. And I want to say this too much. If you go back and look at some of the videos on my channel, it's a hodgepodge of everything. I live almost off grid in the middle of the woods. So you may find videos of me in the garden, picking potatoes, weeding the garden. You may find me belly dancing in the yard. You may find me doing yoga in the trees, making soap, making jelly. It's a hodgepodge of all of that.
Chickens.
So don't be surprised with what you might find.
Rounding up the chickens.
And my chickens. I have conversations with my chickens too. I do indeed.
Yeah.
Now, but for now, what I'm trying to kind of change a little bit of my channel, and I want to bring in more people like Lily and you, Tony, and you, David, and any others that want to share their ideas as we all search for the truth, whatever that truth may be. Yeah. So, drum roll. Today, our guest speaker is Empath Lady, and she's going to cover current events. And then we're going to open the floor to question and answers. And again, no question is off limits. So welcome, Lily.
Hi, dear.
And we look forward to hearing. Indeed. So we're going to sit back and you have the floor now, Lily.
Well, I wanted to encourage people to look through your evolvement in your channel. She went from right out of the religion, and you could see that very troubled individual that was searching to somehow or another find what maybe was the truth. And she was telling her religious story. And I had myself was officially out in the year 2000. But my then husband, Bob, and I had been in the religion in the 80s and 90s. We were in the closet learning various pieces of information that were out there in the world. And, you know, so we already had a sense of some of the things that were going on that a lot of people are discovering now. And we eventually soft walked out of the religion, and he was struggling with the programs. I am so in awe of the XJW community, how they have made it just such an amazing pieces of information and various stories and all these different personalities helping other people. And if that had been back in our day, I think he could have avoided of committing suicide because of the programming. What if they're right? And what if Armageddon comes and you're not attending meetings?
Right.
And so rather than going back to the religion when he did commit suicide, that was when I was now free to really explore, because I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back. And so that began a spiritual journey on my end, not at all knowing that there were other Jehovah's Witnesses also coming out. So I didn't really know that there was even this, Exodus, is Exodus, until around 2017, 2018. And that was right about the time I saw some of the different ones, the pioneers, Kim and Mikey, and all of us learned from them back in those days, and they're still continuing to help so many people. And then we have all the new ones, and so I have nothing but the ultimate praise for all of these people, because without you guys, it's like it just is so much easier with all of you guys, because it wasn't easy for us. And whenever I started to try and get involved in it, I found that I wasn't a fit at all, because I had gone on to whole other areas and journeys. And then it was now meeting the people I knew, the XJWs, all of that, which I hadn't touched that part of myself. And that's where I met Monica. And thank God, because she was open-minded. She was also searching. She was willing to listen. And some of the things she were way out there, way, way out there. And then I taught her something that I had heard somewhere. Somebody told me, tell them the shelf scenario, Monica, about putting on the shelf.
Exactly. As I was doing my research and digging through things, I would come across things that sounded really, really crazy to me, but it resonated in my core. So what I did is I call it my crazy shelf.
Yeah.
And my imaginary shelf, I would take that information and I would put it on a shelf, not to forget it. And then later on, it was like a puzzle piece. I would, I remember that, and I pull it off my crazy shelf.
Yes. And that is how somebody early in my involvement, that's what they told me to do. I think I had gone to this healer lady, and she had maybe thrown that out to me, because she met me literally like just coming out. And when I say just coming out, I mean physically, but mentally, I had been out most of my life. I was not a person who embraced it on the level of being able to believe it, because something just told me that there was something not right. And but yet everybody I loved was there. And so that's why I stayed where I was, and because of all the programs and everything they teach you as far as what you have to do. And so whenever I met Monica, it was wonderful, because she was one of the first friends that knew what it was like to be an ex-Jehovah Witness. And she began, in my opinion, just flying through all of these religious indoctrination, where she was deconstructing on a level that, in my opinion, was the right way to do it, because she was doing it with like real information. And you know how we were taught in the religion that the Jehovah Witness were these great researchers, and that they were, they went to the most pristine text or the pristine pathways, when we find now that that wasn't exactly true. But that's what she was doing about religion. And she really was able to deprogram herself from some of the concepts that I think keep a lot of people, as well as a large, some of the XJWs, because we think like XJWs. We think like people who still somehow or another are supposed to be protective of a program. We're supposed to hold that carefully and don't let too much else in. And so one of the things I would like to hope could happen is more of a uniting amongst the XJW community, because it really looks like there's a large army, and they're taking down not only Watchtower, they're taking down a lot of things, especially with Jimmy Bell, who is, been really trying to help educate the communities on what is going on in the world politically. And not just politically, but what has been hidden from mankind. And so whenever people get stuck like we're in a chat, we're on like say Ruby's chat, or we're someplace where people are talking, and they get stuck on Democrat, Republican, politics, God, no God. It's like all of those subjects, tribal, right? Whenever that happens, you're distracted. You divide, right? It's to divide. And this is Jeff, by the way. If anybody didn't meet him, he's my husband, Jeff. And I asked Jeff if he would be on with us because he's like an encyclopedia when it comes to his ability to pull this knowledge, not only that he's had inside of him, but also knowledge about our real country's history. And so when it comes to our history, the goal is to keep us from finding it out and to create the narratives that they want us to have or believe or adhere and be willing to die for. The controllers, right. So the climate right now in terms of people are very distraught with we're deconstructing the political, what seemed to be established acceptable for the last 100 years. And people are in a panic about that. It's got a name, but the DOGE, right? DOGE. And
yes.
So I see some of the same divisions that people experienced in the 2016, where like people are just cutting off personalities because supposedly one side says, you guys don't like, let's say the side that's on a news show like CNN or something that is the accepted ABC, NBC that, we used to watch when we only had certain choices. And so some of those people are like in such a fear because the concept of what they thought they knew was real or they could hold dear, just like if you go back to that JW thinking, the fear of that something you've heard in the religion or about religion, because some people leave JW and they go into another religion, but it's the same concept of not letting yourself expand in your thinking to be able to learn history. And history and proof is so out there. And we're so limited in the scope of where we actually know to even look. It's like when the saying, trust the science. Well, how did science get its knowledge? Where did the information come from? And so in the academic world, which most of us have no clue, how the real world works in terms of how people get information, all the archaeology and all the fields that they uncover. Our earth is full of so much evidence that you can take any culture. And Monica, you were touched on this earlier. You were saying, like, you named some of the different cultures that you'll see in the sculptures, you'll see in the hieroglyphics, you'll see in giant statues and temples, and you name the country where those temples are, reptiles. Well, why would we see reptiles in all of these ancient things? And there'll be different types of reptiles, and there'll be different similarities across all of them. That's not made up. Yeah, you speak a little louder, honey. You
Jeff, I want to hear you too, Jeff.
Come on, speak up. Tell it.
Well, you see a lot of these paintings that go back to Jesus's day, and that they're painted 500, 600, 700 years ago, but there was definitely a handed down phrase, a narrative that they saw UFOs in the sky, and there's a lot of paintings with this star in the sky that they must have saw something, just like the hieroglyphics,
Yeah.
and the cave drawings. I mean, everything. It's just, when you think about it, most everything is a lie to
Yeah,
us.
things like Michelangelo's paintings where you can see spaceships in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're in museums. They're in museums. It's like, it's not that it's being hidden.
Also, when, there's a painting, I don't know who by, but Jesus of Nazareth in the stables with the three wise men. There's the spaceship up top. So everything is a lie to divide us, to the controllers to control us for our energy. That's the main thing. That's how they feed off us, is the energy that we give out. And that's why you see all the fear and all the fear mongering and the hate and the wars. It's to feed them over the past several thousand years.
And so right now, let's bring it up to modern day. We're in a time, and many, many people know of this and have spoken in length about it. And so if you haven't seen any information or read anything or videos, it's out there, and there are lots of people who can share it with you. So all you have to do is just say, I want to learn more about this subject. And it's like, I know Jimmy knows about a lot of subjects, and, you know, there's enough people that we can bring that in. And so we're at a time with Donald Trump, President Trump, this era. I'd like people to think about him less as a governmental figure, or as a president, or as the man, you know, the orange man, or whatever you want to call it. You know, those that are afraid of what's happening.
Right.
I'd like people to think in terms of it as this is an opportunity for him to prove to himself what all of us are having to prove to ourselves: who we are, what we are going to be, and whether or not, if we are going to seek and allow ourselves to hear the real truths of the fact that we are not alone. For simplification, they extraterrestrial, ET, whatever you want to call it, that we're part of the galaxy, that we have been controlled on the level of not letting some of us like remember as easily. Some of us, it's a thing that they have their whole life, where they feel something, they just can't quite put their finger on it, and then they read it, and it just all snaps together. And so those that feel so positively about Donald Trump, or just the era of what this administration represents, they are dismantling decades of our deep level theft, corruption, just all the giant maze of web of deception in terms of how we are poor. We're not prosperous. We're in trillions and trillions and trillions of debt. It's like that is all actually planned to be that way. And so this dismantling that he is doing is actually a good thing. And so when I say we have to give him an opportunity, where is he going to go with it? Is he going to just do some stuff, give us a little bit, or is he going to actually allow the truth of the extraterrestrial stuff to come out too? Because those that have paid attention and listened to the news, when they had that task force, and they said, we're going to do 9/11. Help me, ladies. What are the other ones? JFK,
MLK, Martin Luther King.
Yep.
RFK.
Martin Luther King, JFK, RFK, the UFOs and the UAPs.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, what was that? UFO, UAP? Why are they throwing that in there? Because it is a huge hidden mess.
Yep.
And it's the one
Bingo.
that is the biggest of it all. And I had Tony listen to 5 minutes of this podcast a few moments before we started. So no one person is the only authority on a subject.
The Stephen Greer one?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that was mind blowing.
And she only listened to 5 minutes of it.
And it's just like, oh my goodness.
So what has been trying to be exposed for more than 100 years is the technology, the fact that extraterrestrial presence has been working with governments. And it's so easy to get a fast education. And that one that I just showed you, I thought that was really quick. I felt like if anybody listens to this for 10 minutes, they'll understand really quick what's at stake and what's being hidden and why they don't want it revealed, why there are disinformation people within the governments still trying to keep people like President Trump and his administration from knowing the real deal. Not the stuff, the disinformation, just get a little bit of sprinkling in there. Technology, health, water, no poverty. It's just, forget about your electric bills. It's like we would have really freedom.
The old system is pretty much gone. The new system is going to be implemented, but a lot of people are still have the wool over their eyes. And because of the media and the fake narrative, and that's how they control everyone's thoughts. You know, the TV, MK Ultra, all that stuff, and religions and everything else. History books. I mean, a lot, and you know, Monica, everything is, you learn it now, everything is just about a lie. There's even narratives about our founding fathers, the War of 1812, I mean, Civil War, World War One, World War Two, and then the proxy wars, you know, Vietnam, and it's just to feed them. And basically, I noticed there's a lot of things being said lately about we live under a dome. It even says in the Bible, we live under a firmament. Well, it's an electronic dome to keep the light out, to keep us stupid and just submissive, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. That's what it is. They feed on the soul. They cannot have our soul, but they can harbor it and they can feed off it. They are not creators. We are the creators, like the creators. We're co-creators. We can create anything.
So I made a comment in the comments with my phone to try and catch up and read every so often, because I wish wouldn't it be great if we could have like an assembly? We could all like gather and be able to talk. You know, that would be great. Because I find that so many people, when I was in Ruby Quinn, her chat the other night on Tuesdays, the audience was kicking it, man. They were just having so many input and questions and thoughts that shows how hungry people are, because there's all these avenues, you know, like what was her name, Steph, like telepathy, Jimmy Anunnaki, you know, just endless amounts of subjects. Okay. And so it's about letting ourselves explore them and remembering there are others before us, that before me, before Monica, before Tony, all of us that have done exactly this, and the information is there. Oftentimes it's pushed into the back, it's censored, but it's like there are ways to get huge educations of what is going on. And always remember that it can be a little bit skewed or a little bit tarnished because they don't want certain narratives coming out. And so I noticed that it looks like Ruby is here, and she says, in my opinion, the UAPs are a psyop to push Star Wars with Space Force. And so I don't want to misunderstand it, but if it is that the UAPs that they're using that are American or that are of man-made or of the UFO ones or the extraterrestrial ones? Because there's actually two. There's and that's part of the things that people can get caught up on real quick if they watch something like the Stephen Greer podcast. They have been back engineering these craft that look just like the actual real craft. And they have figured out a way to bring them down. And part of this goes to the 50s, whenever certain agreements were made with President Eisenhower. And all this stuff isn't me talking. It's all documented in government information. And that's the thing. It's like, so if they keep what's been documented out of the public, and it's actually in the public, and I've said this a couple times, Dr. Greer, and I'm not saying he has it all right, but what he has done is put his heart into it ever since he had extraterrestrial contact in some form when he was young, a kid. I heard him talk about a story. And so he has been collecting for at least 30 plus years information, documentation, and he has released it. He is the utmost like documentation place that come from government documentation. And he has some security clearance levels that have allowed him to do this over the years. And that's why he was one of the people that would be like trying to help the current administration of like the Clintons come in or different people. But there was always these disinformation people in there. And they want to keep it that way because they want to be able to have that ability to, when too many people are waking up and pounding down the doors and saying, you know, when is my electricity going to be like Tesla's electricity? When am I going to stop struggling with this? Where's the technology that's really there? Why do we have to be drilling or doing all this whenever there is other stuff that can light a whole city just like that? So they have this ace in the hole. They have this like little card that they can pull out to try and control people even more. And if they are able to keep enough people in the dark and keep it out of the news, then they would really be able to cause a lot of trouble that way, because they can make it look like the aliens are coming and they're attacking and they're, you know, doing damage, when it's actually Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and about 3 or 4 other, as they call them, military industrial complex people.
But the Pentagon's next. The DOGE is going to dip into the Pentagon, and that is really the smoking gun, because that's all the black ops that behind the scenes. All the taxpayer money goes back into politicians' pockets. It goes to these black ops, these paid assassins. Anyone will do anything for money, and that's got to come to an end, and it will come to an end. It just has to be exposed to the people, and it's just.
And it's like, I wish I knew how to, and I have to compliment Ruby on this. She knows how to like pull up a video and be able to play something. You listen to how much of that one video, Tony, like 5 or 6 minutes?
Yes. There's no way for me to share it, right?
I don't know. Could you?
I think I can.
Try.
If
Can
you
you
want.
try,
Let's try.
Tony?
Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull it up. Okay.
Okay.
Lockheed Martin gets
Thank you.
their budget, like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, 77% of the taxpayers' money goes to their budget. So just figure that one out.
Yeah.
That's coming to an end.
Yeah.
Okay, I have it here. Let me see now. Present. Share screen.
Even if it was just his words, that's good too.
Okay, you guys ready?
I'm so glad you know how to do that, Tony.
Hold on
Thank God.
Okay. Select the tab. Is it this one? Share. Can you see it?
No, but
Guys?
No.
his words are good enough if you can play it.
Hold on, let me see. Okay, so let's see if you can hear it. Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Can you hear?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Ruby says, click the tab in the bottom to put up on the stage for King Tony. She says, click the bottom or click the tab in the bottom to put up to the stage at King Tony.
It says presents, so I'm clicking presents. It says video file, slides, or share your screen. So, no. Okay, let me see what I could do. I wonder if...
Somebody says, I think it's share your screen.
Yes, I did that, and it's not
It says,
connecting.
here's what she says. Yes, once you click that, you'll have to go back to StreamYard and put it up on the stage.
Okay, I got it right here. I got it.
We are so
I
backwards.
got
Not.
Trinity,
Let me
join the chat. Trinity, join the chat. Say
Yeah,
hi there.
sometimes vegan, we're talking about Stephen Greer. Hi, kitty kitty.
So let me see. Can you see this? Or no? Still no, right? It says I'm sharing the screen. Do you see on your part, Monica, that I'm trying to share something?
No.
No?
No. No.
Let me go to settings.
She's trying to play the beginning of that video.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not too tech savvy.
If you play it, does it come through your microphone?
I tried playing it and let me try one more time. Or I can also, can you hear it?
Oh, Ruby does say it depends on Monica's setting.
Ruby says it depends.
Right,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Lily.
You got it, Monica?
And I have no clue how to do that. No clue how to do
Okay,
that.
I'm gonna so Monica, I'm gonna send you the link to the video in your Facebook Messenger. So it's our personal chat. You're going to share on your screen. It says share. You're gonna click. It's gonna. So we'll let's do it together. Let me first send you this now.
And if we can't, it's okay. Maybe we can get Ruby to do it for us on one of her nights.
Yeah, if you could help Ruby, I'd really appreciate it if you could help us with that.
What I can do is I could play it from my phone and then put it near the speaker so you could hear it through that way if that's okay.
Yes, let's do that.
I guess just for now.
Can you put the link out in chat and then people can see it and they can just pop?
Yes, I could do that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just come
But
here.
what would be nice is if, when I was listening to this the other day, I heard 5 minutes and I was like, that just explains it right there in that 5 minutes. And then it was 8 minutes and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just the simplest, quick, fast education. And then at 10 or 12 minutes, and that's as far as I got to listen at this point.
Okay, you ready?
Go for it, try it.
Yes.
Catastrophic disclosure. So what is catastrophic disclosure, and for whom is it catastrophic?
Perfect.
Well, the term was first used by some special forces guys who were moving forward the last 2 years to come forward with a great deal of that kind of information, evidence, crash retrieval of BT craft, all of it. And they were told by some people in the intelligence community, well, that would be catastrophic disclosure to do that. And I actually think that's a type of gaslighting of whistleblowers. And so what I'm calling catastrophic disclosure is what we're on the verge of if we're not careful. And let me go back a few months when I was talking to some folks after the current president was elected. And one of the discussions was that if this comes forward in a way that has been planned for decades, that it would be catastrophic, that it would be much worse than COVID, much worse than 9/11. And that's what I'm calling catastrophic disclosure. It's not the release of the evidence and information that almost all Americans sense at this point is out there. I mean, more people believe that we've been visited and the government's been hiding things for decades than have voted for any president in modern times. I mean, it's up in the 60% plus range. So, I mean, even the Reagan landslide didn't have those sort of numbers, and very few members of Congress have those sort of numbers. So what it really is, and this is, I think what happens when you have people who are embedded in government who try to keep putting speed bumps in the way of this information coming out, and with it, the technologies, is that they keep trying to say, oh, you know, it's just too much and the people can't handle it. That's not true. The people would love it. Here's who can't handle it, is the permanent bureaucracy of corrupt interests, both in the military industrial complex, but more importantly, the financial complex. The technologies, even the energy, 0 point quantum vacuum technologies can't come out because you've got hundreds of trillions of dollars in invested interest in commodities and oil. It should have come out 100 years ago. That's why we did our film, The Lost Century, to illustrate this. What is really catastrophic is this not coming out, or, which is what's afoot, and we'll talk about this, is that it comes out exactly the way they've been planning for 70 years, since the 1950s, where it comes out as an existential threat to humanity, that there are these forces out there. They're calling them NHI now, which is, of course, you know, the pop culture intelligence term. We got concocted for reasons we've already discussed. It's basically a cover-up term. But that it comes out and they present it as a threat to national security and a threat to the human species. And that is exactly what catastrophic disclosure is. Catastrophic disclosure is not acknowledging that we're not alone in the universe and that they've been here and that we have downed their craft and reverse engineered them, or even that we have ones of our own that we have built. That would be what most people are already beginning to say, even in Congress. The catastrophic part of it is, and this is what's going on, whistleblowers, members of Congress, people in the administration being gaslit by very slick counterintelligence operators who present it as a threat, and on top of it, say repeatedly, and this is what Luis Elizondo recently repeated, I believe, on Sean Ryan's show, the show I've been on in the past, where he basically said, look, we don't have anything like this, right? We don't have any craft flying around that could explain this.
It's either Russian, Chinese, or ours. And it's not ours. We've already said it's not ours. We don't have that capability. And we damn sure hope it's not Russian or Chinese, because then we're really screwed.
Totally a lie. Now, why would that lie be so valuable? think about this, everybody, for a minute. Why would something that has already been proven, if you go to the Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive, dpiarchive.com, you'll see, 120 plus crash retrievals, but you'll also see witnesses, military and corporate witnesses to these man-made UFOs. And so much so that people, like the recent whistleblower, Jake Barber, has said repeatedly to us, they are indistinguishable from the actual NHI craft or ET craft. The technology is that advanced. In what Lockheed, Skunk Works, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and a few other big contractors have that build these things. We also know they're being built apparently in Russia and most likely China by the same consortium, by the way. This is a global consortium criminal enterprise. So I think that the catastrophic disclosure is that hiding that keeps the technologies that would benefit the Earth away, because they say, well, we don't know how they operate. We don't know what zero-point energy is. Nothing like that's ever been built. Total fabricated, bold-faced lies. That leaves us dependent as a civilization on an 1800s energy paradigm for our energy system, which not only it requires most of the population of the world to be impoverished to some degree, but also under control of a centralized system. So it's actually a type of, I call it petro-slavery, where the whole planet is dependent on the fossil fuel and the centralized power grid to have their very existence, to even live as we live as a modern society. That would all change if these technologies came out. It would be the ultimate liberation of all people in all strata of societies, both in the United States and the developed countries, in the so-called first world, but in the developing world even more so. But all of us would be liberated. So who is that catastrophic for? Not the 99.99% of the population that are not attached to the conventional energy generating system. Okay, on planet Earth, 8 billion people. Go look at how many people are directly attached to that industry. Now, it's a very profitable one. It has hundreds of trillions of dollars in assets and commodities that are traded in financial markets. Chicago Board of Trade and others commodity. That's hundreds of trillions of dollars a year right there in trading, generating commissions. So there's a whole financial issue here. But in terms of looking at the long-term fortunes of humanity, withholding this information and saying that we don't have these technologies is itself a type of continuation of human global enslavement to the current system. Now, let's then add in one other thing. They have portfolios that I know for a fact they go in and show people in national security circles. Let's say that you're the president or your Senate Intelligence Committee, and there are folks who will come in with a portfolio showing very gruesome alleged NHI craft or NHI beings doing things to humans, abductions, mutilations, blowing up villages, vivisections, cutting people open alive, feeding babies to spider-like aliens. They're right out of a horror movie. Now, aside from the fact a lot of it's made up out of whole cloth, the parts that are real, and there are real victims of abductions. I was almost abducted in 1994. Those are being done by humans masquerading as aliens. But they're also using these technologies to do it. They're using craft that look like an alien ship. They're using technologies that are very advanced electronics, like supercharged Havana syndrome type energy system, weapons that affect awareness and consciousness and all sorts of things. So those are being used by people who are masquerading as aliens and then convincing officials that there's this threat. But that falls apart if there's an honest disclosure. And that is that there are three things going on. There's the extraterrestrial vehicles and people. There's the man-made craft and man-made alien.
I mean, this is about an hour long, so I don't know how much you want to listen to. Did you want to continue? And then you let me know, Monica, when you want to cut it off.
No, Lily, that's Lily's thing.
Oh, Lily.
Oh, no, that's fine. I had the mic muted. Sorry. She put it in the chat, and I think people can, it's like whether or not if people are brave enough to look at it, because it hits up against our fear programs. And also something that happens, it's a really good tool that has been used in creating where people just like don't let themselves look at something, is the concept that somebody is making money, or that's why they're saying it, or that's why they're doing it. So if people want to attack, Dr. Greer's motives, or they want to attack anybody that's talked about the subject, because he is only one of many that talk about this subject. And so whenever they put that quick disinformation, like, oh yeah, he's making money, or oh yeah, they discount all the information that is out there. And whenever he's talking about the new administration, and Jeff pointed this out, part of what happens is that the Congresses and the ones that are supposed to be reviewing it, they don't get the real information because they're not given it, because they're kept away from it. And so they're looking at like tiny little specks of real information, as well as there are those that are paid to interject and say, oh, this is all bullshit, it's all made up.
How they keep them quiet over the past 70 years is they pay them off. And that's what the Khazarian Mafia does. The whole control of the government, deep state, whatever you want to call them. I mean, it's just over time. They just, you get some loudmouth congressman or senator, and they shut them up. Either they get rid of them, they kill them, or they pay them off, most of them, and they just tell them to shut up, and we got this. And just like the Kennedy assassination, all that stuff. It's got to come to an end. We need full disclosure, all of it. And I'm ready for anything. And, it's going to be a re-education for everybody. I'm hearing things that when they do come out with that, it's going to be 8-hour videos over and over again. So if people are working at the time, they show an 8-hour re-education of all our truth and everything. People are able to catch the second part and the third part. So whenever that happens, I'm ready.
We're ready. But, and what I meant in the very beginning when I talked about President Trump having an opportunity, is he going to let his ears only hear those around him that are not wanting him to listen to the real evidence? Or is he going to actually hear it and go into this shock, maybe, and amazement that, oh my God, we don't need the Green New Deal. We don't need fracking. We don't need any of this.
We don't need a lot of things.
So it's a whole complete package.
They're downsizing the government because government's gotten too big, and there are jobs out there for their cronies, and they don't even do anything. There's actually, there's so many I found out in the past couple weeks. There's a guy out in the mountains somewhere. His job is whether a bear shits or not. It's in the woods. That's his job. I'm not kidding you. He gets paid $250,000 to tell people go shit in the woods. We know all that. This is just wasteful money, and it's just to give their cronies jobs. And Thomas Jefferson once said, "A government governs best when governs less." And he said that in 1803. And we need small government. So all this rising up about, Elon Musk is finding out where all the money's going. It's Elon Musk is a figure. It's the guys behind the scenes, the good military running the show. That's what's going on. And they're going to disclose all the corruption over the past more than 100 years. That people their jaws are going to be on the ground. Yeah, they're going to say, "What? Not trillions. We're talking about a quadrillion money. The Rothschilds are worth 500 trillion. Go figure. They can feed the world over and over again for the next 20 years. It's got to stop. That's the Khazarian Mafia. You know that, Monica. And that's another rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
So I would like it if people would be willing to expand in their minds and think, okay, so if we had old 1300 century paintings with little spaceships, right, floating around. And so now they're talking about spaceships, okay? So it goes to reason that they weren't trying to hide anything back then because they didn't know that they weren't supposed to be talking about it. It was sort of normal. I mean, it's like whenever they, not biblical, the Catholic Church, the Fatima, I wish there was somebody who knew about this. These children that experienced a miracle, and this is in the Catholic religion, and they said that something came to them. 1918. Thank you, dear. And
Three kids.
go ahead, tell the story, please, encyclopedia.
What country was it? Was it in Spain?
Spain or Italy? Yeah.
Three children. It was
Up there, huh?
it was an older sister and then two brothers. I'm not quite sure, but they thought they saw Mother Mary come down, and to my knowledge, I think it was definitely an ET, a good ET, but the cabal used it as a whole bunch of people got sick. Did you hear that, Monica? That a whole bunch of people got sick, and they're saying that it's radiation, but I think and they said that was the start of the Spanish flu. No, that was not. I'm not too familiar with the Lady of Fatima, but there is, it's not they're saying what it was. It wasn't Mother Mary. It was an extraterrestrial that came down.
Well, the same thing like with George Washington. George Washington, got guided in order to make that Delaware crossing by some being.
Well, there was definitely handed down narratives that, he all of a sudden would go into the forest and there was a light, a couple soldiers said, and then he came back and they knew what to do, where to go, because somebody up top, because America was an experiment by the good ETs, because they know the whole world was corrupt. So they wanted to start something fresh and new, the Constitution and all that, independence, all those are good sayings in there. So there is, hand down proof that it came from a soldier who said, he was the green light or something. He came back. Next thing you know, we were ahead of the redcoats. And there's so many stories out there. And we did get our independence. And our Declaration of Independence was 1776. The Constitution was written in 1787, ratified in 1789, and GW took the presidency in 1791. A lot of people don't know. I didn't know this 3 years ago. A fake constitution was put in 1871. The Organic Act gave the Rothschilds, the Queen of England, the whole power of Washington, D.C., had the power over everything. The courts, the lawyers, the school system, the sheriffs, everything. And that is a fake. And then the Federal Reserve, IRS, all the three-letter agencies are from the fake Constitution. And that is what Trump is taking down, the United States corporation, bringing back our republic. Okay, Trump is just a pause button.
Right.
Remember, he said, they're not after me, they're after you. They're after us. We, the people, we are strong. It's our country. They work for us. And he's flip-flopping it back to the republic. And that's why you see the media and everybody flipping out, because they're part of the United States corporation, which is ended. It just has to come out to the public.
And I hope that he goes all the way. I hope he doesn't just stop with unraveling this part of our history, but he goes all the way, because so many of us have, like Monica and myself, and have gone into what they call the metaphysical world, or the learning about, like, the things about what consciousness is, or what it is to be connected to others in a telepathic way. Or it's like there's so many areas that come down to what people call abilities in this world, when it's actually our real, more natural state. And it's like, that's something that is vast in the information is there. And there are so many people that cover these subjects. And there's a lot of people who are not even at all willing or able to go down there. They think that this stuff, doesn't exist, when it does indeed. The concept of healing, the concept of that we're able to manifest, we're able to do these different things. And I would hope that more in the ex-JW community, because we are all powerful warriors because of where we came from. The roots of being a JW sets you up to be, once you go for really digging, that's why Jimmy is like he is. Jimmy went in and he left JW and he went 6 years, 5-6 years, major crash course, learned the stuff that Jeff, I call him Mr. Encyclopedia. He knows these organic acts, these 1950 treaty things. There's the invention treaty. It has a special name. There is a great video on it if anybody's interested, but basically they created a law, a treaty, an act, an intervention, whatever they wanted to call it, where they weren't going to let information come out, and they'd call it against national security. So if somebody created an invention, or if somebody made something that would benefit mankind, they would either not accept the patent, but then not allow the person to do it on their own, because they'd get rid of it or get rid of the people. And that occurred about the time that some of these extraterrestrial agreements with those that are of the darker side that wanted to help control man. And when in that video, right about where you stopped it, because I think I was at like about 12 minutes, Dr. Greer was talking about something that a lot of people know about, these cattle mutilations, some of the things that have mystified people. And there is evidence that this wasn't extraterrestrial, this was man. And also the mixing of man's DNA, or the doing these weird programs that would create all these weird beings.
But that goes back to the Sumerians. You know that, Monica. All these statues they have, a Birdman, a Catman. I mean, all these things.
Say that again.
The Sumerians did that. They tweaked our DNA. They experimented. You see the statues, half bird, half man. I mean, they have tweaked a lot of DNA and spliced animal DNA with human DNA. But there is, I was looking at the comments, the world is a stage. She mentioned somebody doesn't believe in time travel. And she says, well, how do you explain the Mandela effect?
Here you
Well,
go.
there is time travel. And let's just go back, H.G. Wells and the Adventures of Baron Trump. You look at those books, that Isgall guy who wrote those two books, the last president was Donald Trump back in 1890. I mean, and Baron Trump, and his friend was named Don. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And I think even Einstein, with Tesla was the man. He knew everything. And I think he was an extraterrestrial. He was born in 1858 in Bulgaria, and his mother, somebody said, oh my God, this is a curse. He was born lightning and thunder and everything. And his mother said, no, he is of light. And he got discredited because the cabal did not want him or want us to have free energy and free technology. And he was channeling ETs. He would go into a deep state and he would get all this downloaded information. And his IQ was like 225. It was off the charts. But, you look at it, the Khazarian, the deep state, they just keep on controlling us and suppressing all this technology that we could live in a beautiful world. And I believe a lot of things are coming out that we just live in the 7 continents. Okay, there's an ice wall around us. They don't allow us to walk, fly, or ride a bike there. It is off limits. What are they hiding past the ice wall?
Sorry,
There's
guys.
so many lands behind that, and they're all different species, good and bad.
I mean, why did they I don't know the era, but dragons. Are dragons real? A lot of people believe they're real. There's even been bone evidence in different archaeological, say that fast, digs.
Well, giants too.
Giants. Oh yeah.
15-foot man, 30-foot man.
It's like they want to make it be like it wasn't real. And we'll just use giants as an example. The Smithsonian Institute, the very powerful force for being one of the entities that was supposedly help to release this information. They also worked really hard to do what they were told and suppress whatever they wanted. And so there were a lot of sites around the world that had giants and the evidence.
Articles too.
And articles written.
New York Times, 1890s.
Yeah. So you have to speak louder, Jeff.
There
Yeah,
was
here in Missouri, they called them the mound builders.
Yeah.
So they went around at a certain point of our history and gathered that information up and destroyed it as best they could, because they were needing to erase the concept of that these creatures of human looking body and form and their size, they needed to get rid of it. The same thing in some of these other archaeological societies. There's a great guy, Brian Forrester. He goes around and he goes to these different sites, the Peruvian, the Guatemalan, all of these different sites. And, the elongated heads are there. And all of these, that's what I'm saying. People are very limited in what they actually know. And when they choose to not be willing to look, then in my opinion, and I'm saying people in the XGW community, that's whenever you're still working under the fear-based programs of, I can't let myself look because it may bust my paradigm that I'm right or that what I've been told is right. And one of those big things has to do with religion.
I got to take care of the cats real fast, but I'm going to escape for a couple minutes. But I just want to commend all the people out there, and I'm sure you're all 100% ex-Jehovah's Witness. I commend you on getting out of the religion, finding out who you really are, even though you're growing up with your family members and you are excommunicated. You're like, I'm done with this, because you reached down deep inside your consciousness and you knew something wasn't right, and they're being divided. And Jehovah's Witness and Scientology, I don't know what other religions, they alienate you. They're the only religion. Well, Scientology is a made-up religion anyway, but they alienate you. It's like, you don't believe us, we're not going to. That's the force they have. The Jehovah's Witness is to put that false narrative and that guilt, toxic guilt on you, to force you to say, okay, I don't want to lose my family, so I don't believe in it, I'm just going to continue. No, I commend everybody in here who just said, I'm done with this. Even if I don't see my own family, I myself, you're a sovereign being. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. And that's what you are. And love is what conquers and controls the whole universe. And that's where we have to come down to. We have to stop being separated by religion, by government and everything. We are co-creators, and that's who we are. We just got to dip deep down inside in our consciousness, in our pineal gland. And that's where I think the soul harbors and the Akashic records and all that. That's where all the knowledge is. Because some of the stuff I just bring out of my consciousness, I don't know where it comes from. But excuse me, I got to take care of my 4 precious cats.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, we are definitely awakening as to who we are and remembering all of this information, and it's coming.
And I want people to continue. It's like, I'm noticing a few of the comments are like, they're like, well, the person's a grifter, or well, there's like, it's to block Space Force, or just different things. And I would say, then let yourself be like a scientist, or there's not a scientist, there's a person who's willing to look at the evidence. not just the little tiny bit of evidence that is there. There's so much genuine evidence there that if you actually look and look with an open mind and an open heart, then you'll sit there and you'll go, wow, I guess I was a fool. I guess I just stopped myself from seeing it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that is another program
Bingo.
that if I look and I learn, then the knowledge is vast.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I think people are afraid to be wrong. They don't want to accept what they're seeing with their eyes and hearing with their ears, because they're afraid of that small possibility of, well, what if this is a lie? And what if they are lying to us? And if we do, the point is, if we do find out that it is a lie, then you acknowledge it and you move forward. But don't just
Yes.
completely, disregard it and then not entertain it at all. You have to sift through it. And that's what I mentioned in the comments. Sift through it, see what sits right with you, research and do research on whatever else you're finding doubts. And that's basically it.
Whenever we can be brave enough to do that, and let me just touch on a little bit about that metaphysical world, what happens in our body, and Tony can attest to this a little bit. What happens is we get these, our body is an amazing machine that runs on ways that I can't begin to explain, but it's emotional and physical are so tied together, it's crazy. So the concept of disease, the concept of I got this condition. There was a woman named Louise Hay or Hayes, one or the other. She's probably I don't know if she's still alive, but a long, long time ago, in the 80s at least and on forward. She got the connection between emotions and conditions in the body. And she said for every illness or condition in the body, there was an emotional thing or trauma or something behind it. And when you get to that root, or when you get to that understanding of it, then you're going to find that you can heal, you can release the block, you can be a healthy person. Okay. And so whenever we are experiencing the opening to knowledge, opening to allowing ourselves learn some of these things that are uncomfortable, and we're offering resistance because there's a part of us that has been controlled in a way against ourselves to not let ourselves go there. And so when you're maybe starting to learn something, you can get uncomfortable or you can get a little fearful.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I definitely can attest to that. It's sometimes when it's new to you, it's hard to explain the feeling, and you use words like pain, but it's a discomfort. It's new. And I guess when it's your first time experiencing anything like that before, you're quick to disregard it or make it seem like a physical, like you're gonna try and look for an answer that makes sense. But sometimes the answers you're looking for is not gonna make sense. It's just a feeling. It's something you feel within yourself. And I through my conversations with you and Empath Lady, I've known since a little girl that I've had this feeling, this intuition within myself. And it's almost like something is pulling me, or sometimes it feels like a calling. And not to sound cringy, but let's go back to the explanation of how that the cult used to give us when I used to ask, how do they know they're anointed? How do they know? And one response I got was, it's a feeling. The sister described it as this uncontrollable
Exactly.
feeling that was calling her to take part of the wine and the bread. And when she didn't, or when they didn't, they became depressed. They became like out of sync
Mhm.
with that spiritual feeling. And that's the best way I could explain it. I know it sounds
No, it doesn't. Go ahead. You're doing a
but
good job.
That's the same. That's the same explanation I got. We just know. We just know that we know it. That we
just
know.
know. And I didn't really understand it till now.
And whenever we start to remove some of these programs that create these blocks, then a lot of the disease or dis-ease in the body changes. And then you can begin the healing process, or they say peeling away the layers of the onion. And so, like whenever I'll use the concept of arthritis as an example. Oh, I have arthritis, or I have joint disease, or I have this. Okay. We are able to have a natural pain relief, and where you don't experience the intensity of whatever at this point of our body. Eventually our meat suit eventually does wear out. Okay. They did us dirty on that one, but it does eventually wear out. But the level of what we have to experience, or what we have to take medicine for, has been because man has been forced away from natural medicine, from the healing herbs, and also the ability to do healing. And that was done by the controllers being the Rockefellers and all those, and what they were told to do to set up to get rid of the holistic medicine, to get rid of the people who were able to make a poultice and fix something, or somebody who was able to do energy healing and fix somebody's kidney stone, or heal their broken toe, or whatever it is, because those are things that there are many people like myself who have done. It's like, and it's like when it's natural like that, whenever it's in you, like Tony was saying, it was there in her. She knew something was there. And I feel like Tony has an extreme sense of knowing, and that knowing, some people there's lots of terms, intuitive, psychic, mediumship. There's all these terms that people give. Okay. But when it comes down to it, I don't really like labels, because those labels create that, like the word conspiracy theory. It's a label that was created to have a reaction. And so the concept that there are beings, extraterrestrial beings, and they have certain abilities, and one of those supposedly, and I just say supposedly because, until we know, they have the ability to fix our planet fast. They have the ability to, with whatever they have done, sorry for lack of words here, to be able to have people with intense cancer, which cancer was healed in the 30s, if not before then. There's been people who have proven it with the AMA, and they make sure those people are gotten rid of. They are able to do things to help people, even in these meat suits that have like issues with them. And so, like the concept of, like, say, if something, I think one of the comments said, well, what if something is hereditary? Okay, so if we need to be able to have our brain think like a program, if we can say, oh, it's hereditary, therefore I can't get rid of it, we've just given up. But instead, if we say, I can,
Seals yourself. Yeah.
yes,
It's
exactly.
almost like you want to promote a positive energy in the air.
It's manifesting. We can do anything.
Yes.
Abilities.
I
Yes.
mean, I remember as a
And
kid.
it's manifesting, and everything begins with a thought.
Yes, I remember as a kid, if I didn't want to go to school, I would say it out loud. Mom, I'm not feeling well. Mom, I think I have a fever. Mom, I think my body aches. Oh, and I said it enough to where the point is like, yeah, I actually don't feel good. Oh man, I don't think I could go to school. And that's the point. It's like,
Yeah.
you are telling yourself how to feel. Believe it or not, your body is in tune with what comes out your mouth, your ears, everything is all connected. Oh, that's perfect. Exactly. We just need to tune in.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think people
Absolutely.
are really, really, really trying to figure this out on a level, because so many people are experiencing it. They have an inner understanding of it already, you know, and so therefore,
It's Storm.
that storm. So they're looking, they're searching, and this is not just now. There are those seekers that were doing this in the 50s and the 60s and so on and so on and so on. And there is enough validity of truth behind it that enough people have made the leap to where they went ahead and opened their mind in terms of the evolution of what people are experiencing now, and realizing we're being prepared for something. What are we being prepared for? And when they talk about the Schumanic resonance, Monica, can you explain a little bit about that? Can you hear okay, hon?
Say that again, Lily.
The Schumann resonance.
Say it again. I didn't get that.
The Schumann resonance. You know, the vibration that
it's an energy that comes. It's coming from inner earth, from what I understand. And when the Schumann resonance is acting up or elevated, you can actually feel it.
Yes. And the solar flares and what the sun is doing, what our planets are doing, is also affecting us. And so many people are experiencing what some have referred to for a very long time as ascension symptoms. And these
symptoms, yes,
are making it so that we're experiencing our body and our minds are changing. A lot of times whenever there is a certain type of head pressure, there's people who are able to kind of identify. It's almost like we're being rewired, or we're being regridded. And in my evolution, evolving in the very, very, very early 2000s, I had this like hot energy in my head, and it felt like there was like a big giant computer chip or something up there with all these wires going through it, and it got hot, and then it just, oh man, I just felt so sick. And then I had this little book that had been written definitely in the 80s, and somebody gave it to me, and it had to do what they call ascension symptoms, and how people were building up for the Great Awakening. And it talked about a certain rock. And then I had that, and then I put it on my head, and it was almost like a cool rock of ice or something. It helped cool it. It's like the connection to the mineral realm of all the rocks and crystals that are there are part of our planet, and they're here to assist us. But yet you have some religions that have demonized the mineral kingdom, the rocks, the crystals. They have demonized it, like, oh my gosh, you can't use those. Why? They're part of what we're connected to.
Mhm.
And so there's all these
Absolutely.
trying to keep people from expanding. And when that happens, I have to ask why. Why are they trying to keep people from expanding?
Because it's a powerful thing. And imagine if we could heal ourselves. Imagine if we didn't need to go to the government for really anything, because
Yeah.
we could literally do it all on our own. I feel like we were made to be able
Absolutely.
to care for ourselves and not rely on another man.
Yes.
I'm seeing a comment by this.
Yes.
The world is a stage. I saw this gal's comments the other day. She says cancer is an energy issue. Okay.
Mm.
Yes, energy is vibration. In the 30s, a man named Raymond Royal Rife, R-I-F-E. This was when the AMA,
Yes.
or American Medical Institution, was in its infancy. They're just like a group that meets in a little, room. They were, and he was a very brilliant scientist at the time. He created the first microscope big enough to be powerful enough in order to look at certain types of cells. And I may have this wrong. It was either the tuberculosis or some sort of cells you were able to look at to identify what was going on within the body. And so he discovered this this type of machine that had to do with these vibrational thing. I'm doing a crappy job explaining.
Like frequencies.
Yes, it was this, frequency,
Frequencies.
and what happened? It would vibrate and it would pulse out a sound. And he noticed in the petri dishes, the cancer or whatever it was dying, and
Oh yeah, I know that.
that set him down that journey. And he documented, made evidence. There was no doubt. It was completely scientifically checked and double checked, where he took like late stage cancer patients and cured their cancer. The ones that are told and they're on their deathbed and cured their cancer. And he
Yes.
did this, and he presented his findings, and a few other doctors were doing it in their labs, and presented it to the AMA at their conference, or wherever their conference was. I don't remember. And they, yeah, you're amazing. You've done this great thing, fantastic, and it's all there. And then he proceeded to be told that it was the amazing thing. To the year after, they denied they ever knew him. They were figured out, or were told, oh no, we are having none of this. Oh no, we need disease. We need cancer. The Rockefeller industry, and it's not just the Rockefellers, it's just for lack of knowing exactly who all to call them, part of the cabal. They said,
Right.
we need disease. We need this. And then that led to, we need pharma. We need to take people away from the natural remedies. And so they made it so that his work was destroyed. They drove him nuts. They denied he really.
Money.
Yes. He eventually turned to alcohol and eventually died. But his data was preserved.
Mm.
And in later years, some people got it or had it and started making these backroom machines. And there were people who were experiencing amazing health cures with it. But yet, if they talked about it, then the next thing you know, they would get raided and they would get their data disappear. And so it's been a hush hush thing. Not so much now, but it was in the late 90s and early 2000s. It was very still a taboo. And I had the experience of I had what is called a frozen shoulder. And I had gone to the medical doctor, and that's what they diagnosed, that I had something wrong in this part of, like, my rotor cuff. You know, they give you all these, what they think it is. And they put me through physical therapy. They started me on pills. And 2 of those pills, one of them was pulled from the market, and the other one that I was on created a condition that I have that was called joint disease, where I was the 1 in 1 million. And literally within a few weeks of taking this pharma, I experienced a condition that completely changed my life, how I was able to move. All of a sudden, I couldn't walk upstairs. I couldn't bend my knees. I couldn't do stuff. And the doctor's attitude was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess you're allergic to that. And that was that. And so this approach to medicine was damaging to people, and yet they already had the cures for a lot of things. So I was living with severe pain and not able to take whatever medicine they said that would help me. And my medical doctor, my HMO medical doctor, she very casually says to me, now she was alternative because she was willing to prescribe you vitamins. Okay. She said, there is a lady that she is from the medical community. She worked in the ER, and she had a car accident, and she had pain she couldn't get rid of. And so she said she went looking for a way to get rid of her chronic pain that her own community could not help with. So she got somebody, I think it might have been California at the time, and they sold her this, which turned out to be a type of a rife machine. And she said, you know, I can't really tell you to go see her, but I know you're open-minded, so give it a try. So I did. She told me where she was. I went there, and she turned the machine on, and she, did whatever it's really easy. You just hold these things and rods or whatever. And she said very casually, you must drink a lot of water, or you may experience a detox if you release too fast. And so as I'm hearing this, I'm not paying attention. So by the time I got home, I already felt like I had the flu. And whenever I woke up after, I guess, sweating it off, I realized I was laying on my left shoulder, and I hadn't laid on my left shoulder in over 2 years. It unfroze it. That one treatment unfroze my shoulder. And it's like that machine and others like it, they can do amazing things. I've been able to, on occasion, work with the machine with other people and help them with all sorts of conditions. And there are people who understand about this much, much more than I, but it's based upon frequency and sound.
Absolutely.
I don't mean
Absolutely. And crystals and crystals have those healing energies as well.
Yes, they do.
What were you going to say, Tony?
Yes. Sound energy, sound therapy, the Himalayan sea, singing bowls, the bells. It's all about vibration.
100%. I got my Palo Santo. I got my sage. I got my rocks, crystals.
Yes.
I was going to say, the reason why I also, it's not something I can deny, is because ever since I was young, I've always attracted people. And I don't know what it is. have a thing where people are just drawn to me like a moth to a light. And I had my pregnancies predicted beforehand by my own relative. And I also have had strangers coming up to me, staring at me, basically stalking me on public transportation, just because something was telling them that they had to speak to me, to tell me what they needed to tell me, so to calm me. And I had someone come and tell me that I was having a baby boy before I even found out. And so when I found that, when they actually confirmed it, that's when I knew that this stuff is real. It's real. And I know I have that intuition, that feeling within me, and it's not I don't know how to call it or what to call it. But basically it's something that is real, and it's something that I feel, and I can't deny it anymore.
Yes.
And anybody that has, if whether they're in the comments or whether or not, if they watch this video, it's like, if anybody's interested in learning more about those subjects, I know I would love to hear from those kind of people. And I give an open invitation that if there are people that want to either talk to me or maybe potentially have work with them in various ways, I'm definitely open to that, because I think that we need more people being willing to step out of our comfort zone and step in to helping other people with what we have. Because I think there are a lot of people who have various, not only senses of knowing or psychic, or just being able to use their abilities, to use their empathic abilities, their healing abilities. It's like, I think that there are a lot of people that have this. And personally, out of my own personal experience, I know that it doesn't take much to turn the switch where all of a sudden you're doing these things, because one, you're comfortable with them, you realize they're within you, you realize they're natural, and they're just this part of you that you have.
Absolutely. And I'd just like to share very quickly that I had major surgery the 1st of December, and I was having a lot of pain, and Lily called me out of the blue and asked me if I was in pain, because she felt my pain.
Wow.
I live in Missouri and she was in Utah at the time.
That's an
and
empathic response.
To pinpoint exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she was able to pinpoint exactly where my pain was without me telling her. And she did energy work on me, and it helped me significantly. So yes, this stuff is real.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it wasn't because I'm connected to Monica, because I know her. One, I knew she was having surgery, so therefore I was anticipating that, in between, I guess, the pain medicine wearing off and different things, that she was going to experience something. And then there's also ways to speed up the healing process or work on areas or problem areas. And so in terms of like people who have surgery, to be able to help heal the surgery or speed up the process of after surgery, that kind of stuff. And so whenever she went through this, it's like it was very hard for her to take pain medicine, and she would, but sometimes it wasn't just quite enough. And so, and she also had hernia surgery at the same time. And whenever you have something like that, there can be some discomfort in its healing process after they've done the work on it. And so people like myself are able to help with that. So, and Tony understands about that too.
Yeah. I haven't been able to actually sleep for a good few weeks. I mean, aside from, I basically live in pain because I deal with a lot of health issues. So my pain tolerance is so high that I can't sleep sometimes. And I'm very antsy. My nervous system is out of whack. And so it's probably been about, maybe I would say like a month, roughly, where I haven't been able to have a good night's sleep. I'm tossing and turning. I'm up at the wee hours of the night. And there was this immense pressure that would not leave here, and it would just circulate. It would just circulate. And it was to the point where I realized my body was telling me I can't have certain levels of lighting on at the moment. So I would listen to my body and I would dim the house down because my body tells me what I need. And when I needed the sunlight and when I needed to see the brightness, it told me, and I would open the windows, I would crack the shades and crack the window, or I would even just go out for a walk, and it would relieve that pressure, whatever was going on here. And Lily has also, she's done her own what do you call it?
Healing work, or you mean energy work? Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she has mentioned things, we're pretty new, with meeting each other. So she was mentioning names and things and body parts where I've actually had severe damage because of abuse throughout the years. And just names of people that, she doesn't know me. She doesn't know my family. And she's saying these names, and of course they mean something to me. So it's things like that you can't deny. And it gives me chills because I think it's almost like when you allow yourself to experience it, when you continue to allow your mind, your body, your soul to open up, to accept it. Don't reject it right away, It's almost like when you hear that the bells of a church, that feeling ringing through your body. That's what it felt like.
What happened is there's because we're so emotionally driven, many people are experiencing an intense need for what's called emotional release work, and I was one of those people. And I experienced it with an amazing woman that she did at the time. I know people have heard the term Reiki before. There are many different types of healing, but that was what she was had as her base. But she did truly a modified version of just Reiki, because a lot of Reiki can just be for balancing, but she was really specialized in emotional release work, peeling away the layer and coming out of the religion, out of all of that, losing my family immediately. That was at age 40. I met her and she worked on me quite a bit and helped pull the layers away that were there. And things that I had experienced, it's like whenever you're blocked about the simplest thing, it's like that one little thing literally maybe keeps your breath short and you're not able to breathe properly. You're not able to take a deep breath through. And it's like you get, and you don't have to like, quote, tell your story or anything like that. There's these emotional release oils. There are various companies that make them. You've heard aromatherapy. It's become, for a while the thing. And so I found these oils that they oil has a vibration. It's like there is a energy when you just hold the bottle, the frequency in those particular oils. That's why in biblical times they had certain oils that they worked with, because they held such a strong vibrational frequency in them. And so I started getting these and using them, and I just naturally, it just led to being able to help people emotionally release things. And I mean, I had it, people did it with me, and it just, because the information was already there in me on some level, like what Tony's talking about. Some people call that being downloaded already, like you're born and you kind of already have this info in you, and then it just needs to be exposed or either just naturally come out. Which is what happened with me. Is while I was in the religion, my abilities came out naturally, and I didn't know that they were they didn't have terms, because you're in the religion, you don't know what's going on with you, but it formed in a very natural progress that I didn't think anything weird of it. And so once I was out of the religion and I was doing something, somebody would say to me, like, that they did that professionally, and they'd say, "Oh, did you realize you," and they'd say, "Do you realize you're doing psychic reading?" And I'm like, "Well, what is that?" To me, it was just having that knowing, or just, I didn't understand that it wasn't not normal. Well, it is normal. It's just that I was still had some sort of concept of a label, the programming of a label. And for the longest time, I just couldn't even want to even say the word psychic. My gosh, it just,
I know.
it was just, I can't say this word,
Exactly.
They're like almost like taboo words that the society makes us feel like we can't use it. It's like, but we shouldn't. We shouldn't
It's
allow
demonic.
that.
We were told it was
Right.
demonic.
Yeah. Well, I was in practice. Okay, so think about it. I'm in the religion, and I'm not exposed to demonic information. I was really tightly, carefully bound, being in a very rural area, a very strict congregation. There was no outside knowledge I could have possibly heard or known a friend or anything to expose me to it. So how did it develop? How was it? I'm 4 years old, and I know what my dad needs to do to fix a tractor. Or how is it whenever I'm with my animals and I would think a thought and then they would do it? It's like these things are on their own. And I think people who are around animals in general, because animals are telepathic, I think that does help them to open up. And that's why cat energy is more intuitive.
Yes, I was just gonna mention my cat Luna, that fortunately I missed her, but I swear she was communicating with me. The way she would look at me, I would talk to her, and she would come to me. She would pick her head up, and she would like blink, like I'm listening to you. Like I knew she knew what I was saying to her, and she would do what I wanted her to do. It was insane. I had never seen that in my life before. I'm just blown away. I truly do believe cats are smarter than dogs. They are it with that spiritual world. I don't know what it is. It's a beautiful thing to see and to experience it. That's on another level.
In terms of other beings, there is a concept that there's a race called like cat people, the Lyrian cat race, or whatever their name is. And so let's say if they were in a meat suit, what their meat suit might look like is what our cats would look like. And so some people say that cats come to us, or they come to people to help open them up, to help. And those people who don't like cats is because there's something about the cat's vibration. Think about the purr. It's a frequency. right?
Oh my
And
God,
especially,
it's so soothing. My cat used to sit right here on my chest, right in the center. And she would alternate from sitting here, or I would wake up with her whole body on my head. And she is purring away. And the purring was this, it's almost like this meditation, this feeling, a calming feeling.
yeah, it's the
And
frequency.
Yes.
yes, and it was so loud. It would be so quiet in here, but the purring was so strong. I could hear it as if it was on the TV. That's how loud I could hear it.
Wow.
It was
Absolutely.
powerful.
And the frequency of the bees too is another frequency that's very healing.
Oh, that's
The
interesting.
buzzing of the bees. Yes.
That's true. 100%. Yes.
Our entire world is just so vast. I mean, Tony and I were having a conversation about the vibration and the energy of nature, and it's like there are other people who have scientifically gone into this where they have hooked up these devices to plants of different kinds, and they
Yes.
make like a sound or a music. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really
Music,
is.
actually. And the whole thing about tree hugging, literally, you can go and wrap your arms
I
around a
believe it.
tree or put
Oh
your
my
back
goodness.
to a tree and you can feel the energy.
I kid you not. I just posted a
Yes.
video. I shared it with some friends, and this man, it's a Hispanic man. He's talking in Spanish, and he's basically stating the leaves are moving. They're being
Yes.
themselves, wild, moving in the wind.
They're waving.
And you could
Hello.
hear it.
Hello.
And the
Uh-huh.
guy has a flute. He starts playing the flute. And as soon as he starts playing the flute, the leaves went silent, stopped moving. They were listening
Wow.
to the music of the flute. That was so inspirational for me because as I mentioned in the chat, whenever I see a plant, I mean, here in New York City, people just discard plants, big, small, all types. And I see them all on the sidewalks. I will collect them all. And I will bring them to my mother-in-law because she has a green thumb. She touches whatever plant she wants and it grows. It blossoms. It sprouts. And I'm just like, I was blown away. I'm just like, it gives me
She's
goosebumps.
connected to the I think they call it the elemental kingdom. I think that's
Yeah.
the proper terminology for it. And so, and there are elemental beings, the fairies. There's
Yeah.
different ones in different
No,
cultures.
yes, fairies and
Yes.
gnomes and yes.
Yeah. So it would be nice if whenever people do watch this video, if they would try and, if they are comfortable with it, take the time to write or place a comment in it, even if it's older. Because from time to time, we can know or look at it and then know what people are curious about or what they want to talk about or
Yes.
which pathways they're interested in learning. That would be helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, I wanted to just say that after you did that healing session with me, I did not wake up not once. I don't even think I tossed and turned. I slept so good
Mhm.
through the whole night, and because I have kidney issues, I pee a lot. I have to because I have a higher risk of getting UTIs that can travel up to the kidney. So I didn't even get up to use the bathroom. And when I tell you I get up at least 4 to 5 times a night, I did not. And when I woke up this morning, I felt light. That pressure in my head was no longer there. The hip pain. So basically, yesterday I woke up wrong and I guess I messed my hip up. And so when she did it, she starts telling me, I'm feeling pain in this area, like, and it's on this side. And I said, yeah, yep, mm-hmm. And she did the healing process. And when I tell you that the pain that I felt was a pain that I know for a fact would have taken months before it would have left, it was gone overnight. I was
Yeah.
able to walk. I stopped limping. I didn't
You know,
have no prick in my hip, nothing.
and I think that, you know, when you said you slept wrong, yes, that happens. But you also, I think, might have been dealing with some emotional things that day with something, you know, that you know or care about. Something could have happened with a family member or anything that can kind of trigger us. And that goes to that concept of the emotional and the pain or the injury or that kind of stuff. And
Yes.
I mean, I know that happened to me 100%. It's like I can almost define out all these injuries or all these conditions or things that I have ended up with that have had something to do with either one trauma or another trauma. I mean, we have all experienced trauma. Some of us have had a little, maybe more than others. And like myself, I've learned through that process, because pain is how my, whatever it is that is guiding me, somehow or another needed to get me to get out of my little mental JW careful bubble. Even though I wasn't JW-ish, I still was living in a bubble. And I was very
Yes.
protected, trying to protect everything around me, you know, all these different emotions and things, and a balance, you know, the people that you care about, as well as just all the stuff going on. And so my body started breaking down. And and it was mostly on the left side, which is your feminine side, that was being denied. Okay. And I started experiencing some pretty out there things that doctors couldn't tell me what it was. They did not know. They had me taking all kinds of stuff. Nothing would work. I had this one pain. They couldn't make it go away. And it was a pretty severe pain. And so out of desperation, I went and got on the first table that I ever had of a woman who was an energy type healer. She did what she called cranial sacral release, sacral being your root and the cranial. And she did something where, like, she moved my head a certain way. And what happened is, as she was doing this and she started touching my side where I was having this, what it was is like an ovary feeling pain, like I had a cyst on my ovary kind of feeling. And she said, I feel grief. This feels like grief. Now, I hadn't officially lost my husband at that point. I wasn't officially out of the religion, but it was very heavy on my mind that the final process was going to happen. And eventually I have to say, I'm absolutely not coming back. And then I was also grieving. And she said something about a boy or a child. And I realized I'm 40 years old. I'm out of the religion. I was told I shouldn't have kids. My husband, who I love dearly, is cracking up. And I'm not going to have kids. And that was a huge grief for me. All of a sudden, the concept that I wasn't going to have children. And this, whatever this pain was, she identified what the emotion was with it. And then I had a series of things happen with it. And if anybody ever wants to, like I said, talk to me, and I'm an open book. I'm happy to tell you what I experienced. But she was able to identify what that was. And then it took me quite a while to be able to figure out how to make it that this pain was now, what is the word? I had to validate the emotions within what's called your inner child. And I remember when another lady worked on me and she said, "Oh my gosh, your inner child is so buried." And I'm like, "Well, what is that? What's an inner child?" She's like, "You don't even know what your inner child is?" And I was like, "I have no clue." That's how buried I was from myself, trying to survive up to that age of 30 something. And it's like, so many things are just so tied that create disease in us because of our emotions. So I completely get where Tony is talking about. And what really she experienced was majorly very fast. She was so ready to let go of some layers. It couldn't happen fast enough. It was just like the energy was just pouring off of her. But every various parts of her body were making itself known to me as an empath. You know, you can feel that, and it helps you to identify where the area is. And so she experienced a release of a lot of emotions, and just that little bit freed her up. I mean, it's a process you deal with. You don't just do like one little tiny clearing. You know, you keep going until you really can feel a lot more whole. And I think that's part of what we're being pushed, man is being pushed in general, because we need to be more heart-centered. We need to be more in a truth of that we are either service to self or service to others. Service to self is the way that our world has been and is, and it no longer serves us to be this way. Too many people can't take it anymore. And so they've been waking up and they're like, what is wrong with me? Well, you woke up. That's what's wrong with you. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I don't plan on stopping here. It's like my body is
Nor am I.
desperate, and it's almost like when you're dehydrated and you're like, you need water. So now I'm just taking it all in, and I just need to continue this because I know if I stop, I'm gonna go back
And
to that.
be gentle with yourself. You'll know how and when. You'll know, it's like the work that Tony got is different than the work that Monica got. Monica, she's pretty together. Okay. She had an actual injury taken care of and also a different type of surgery. And so it's a different type of work. Tony also may need like healing work on certain organs or parts of her body, but she also needs energy work to do emotional release work. And so there's no one way about it, no one person. You can get different things from different people. But I wanted to make note of somebody. She says, where did it go? Something about loving this conversation. She says, her name's Culty Talk. Culty Talk.
Yes.
I love this conversation. I feel like we're already getting connected to this topic.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That
I loved
is.
her comment. She said, she, it was so cute.
And just the fact that we're all, and just the fact that we're all here together right now was meant to be. Our paths were.
Yes.
She says,
I think you cut out a little bit, Monica. Can you repeat yourself?
Yeah, I was just saying, just the fact that we're all here together proves that our paths were supposed to cross.
Yes, 100%. I just wanted to bring out Colty's comment. She says, I pet my plants. I talk to them and ask them how they're doing. And I'm so proud of you because they hear you. And you will see the leaves drooping or up. And when you talk to them, you can see they start to move. they start to go more up, as if they're pulling their ear to hear you better, as if your voice is soothing to the plant. You understand? We are all connected. I can't say
Yes.
it enough. The movie Avatar explains it, shows it in a way that I was
Yes.
blown away when I saw that movie. And it just reminded me. I remember as a child, my grandmother, she ended up moving upstate New York, surrounded herself in the forest. And I had this calling, like the trees was calling
Yes.
me. Like I had to be there. I had to be surrounded, listen, just silence and listen to nature. And it just it
Yes.
sits well with me. Oh,
Yes. And I live in a forest. And if a tree is cut down in the forest, the trees talk to each other. And
oh
there's
my
a whole
gosh,
network
Ferngully.
underneath the ground, the
Wow.
mycelium. Yes,
Ferngully.
there's a
Do
whole
you guys
network
remember?
of mycelium mushrooms.
Do you guys remember Ferngully, the Disney movie with the fairies? And it was talking about the pollution of man breaking down the
Um,
forest, and they were destroying the lives of all the animals, the environment, the trees. They were cutting it down and cutting down the trees, and all the pollutions infiltrating the forest. It affected the fairies. It
Yes.
affected their livelihood. It was
Yes.
killing them.
that's sort of like Avatar, what they were doing,
Yes.
clearing the land and that kind of stuff. So, is there anybody who has any questions or anything in the chat?
Oh, let me just look.
We've had lots and lots of comments, but if you guys have any type of question that you'd like Lily to cover before we close, put it in the chat right now.
I see a lot of good comments.
And while we're waiting, absolutely, absolutely. And Lily, you have been simply amazing. Thank you
Oh,
so much
Yes,
for
thank you,
coming on.
Lily.
And I would hope that you're coming
Amazing.
back, right?
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know, I've a lot of people who are kind of like me and have been at this for a very long time, and especially with the empathic side, we have been so affected in not
Yeah.
so pretty or graceful ways, and it's like the energy has been particularly hard, and that's just putting it nicely, and so it has been hard for I've seen many people even on YouTube that I would watch, and then they would talk about, you know, similar stuff that I experience and others like us experience. And a lot of people may notice when I mentioned about the Shamanic residents, they may experience like something. I'll give you an example. You may experience a certain type of head pressure. You may experience something like really pushing down on you. Okay. And if you're becoming more sensitive and more awake and aware, you may notice that when you're under fluorescent lights or lights that are LED lights, but especially the fluorescent lights, you'll feel like something's pushing you down,
Oh
pushing on
my
your hand.
gosh.
Their fluorescent
Oh my
lights are the worst. Oh my God.
I
Both
know
Jeff and
exactly what
I,
that feels like.
we can only be in a grocery store under those lights 10 minutes, 20 minutes. We are just like antsy and nervous and irritated. Okay. We can barely take it. And then when we have to like endure and say there's a lot of stuff we have to do, or I'm taking a long time reading the labels, which you have to do. It's like he'll come up to me and say, I can't take it anymore. We got to get out of here. And it's because it's the
Yeah.
energy and these stimula things are just so intense. And it's not just from the ones that are coming from the kabad, as Monica calls them, the kabad cabal, but
Yeah.
you know, that little bit of clip, Dr. Greer mentioned the Havana syndrome. Okay. And so Havana syndrome is a
Yes.
name that they gave when they were using energy weapons of some type targeting people. And this is nothing new. This has been going on for a long time. And there are also people who are targeted who will get more than normal intensity of stuff that can wear us out. I've experienced that myself. And so it's easy to get worn down. And so if you're experiencing sometimes more day than others, go and look and see if they're talking about solar flares are going to be happening. And you can feel it like a few days before, a few days after when they say it's actually happening. But you can experience where literally, like, I don't know if you can see my hands, but like if I was telling Tony about this, a fun house or circus, where you're in one of those rooms that tilts. Okay. The room sort of tilts a little bit or it moves a little bit. Some days I would get out of bed and it would feel
That
like
happens to me.
I'm going like this. It's like,
Yeah.
and you just are so out of whack. You're so out of balance.
It's like
You
your
can't-
equilibrium is off.
yes, ma'am.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's big.
Equilibrium.
It definitely, like, you get little bouts of vertigo and you didn't do anything to your neck. You didn't put your neck out. You didn't sleep wrong.
You didn't spin in a circle.
Yes, absolutely. And so definitely the vertigo, definitely the head pressure, those are very, very tickle. Now I'm going to give you, if anyone's experiencing in this area, this is where your third eye, or what your pineal gland is.
Your
And
pineal gland.
that is a natural in our creator made body, right? It's there for a reason. And it's your ability to, when your pineal gland is open, you are able to be awake and you experience abilities normally. It's normal. Okay. And they wanted to make sure the Kabad, the controllers wanted to make sure that they worked really hard at shutting that down. So they created this great little thing, and a lot of people know fluoride. Well, where does fluoride come from, and where did they put it? Bingo. They put it in your drinking water. They put it in your dental treatments. They put it in your toothpaste. It's like the purpose.
It calcifies your pineal gland.
Yes, ma'am. And they specifically want kids to have fluoride treatments. They don't want kids. Whenever people have children and they're very open and aware and they already have those abilities, they want those abilities shut off, shut down.
Absolutely.
And that pressure, that pressure I was feeling, the thing is, like, you see, I work in the medical field. So the first thing I'm going to think is, am I dehydrated? Let me drink some water, right? Let's start hydrating. Let's get some coconut water. Maybe I need electrolytes. You know what I'm saying? Because I was sick recently. So hey, I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. Let's rehydrate. And then the thing is, and then you go, oh well, let me take an Advil. Let me take a Tylenol. Let me take a pill to help relieve whatever, because it's a discomfort to the point where it's just unbearable. And nothing, when I say nothing worked, the only thing that had worked, it completely removed that pressure, the discomfort, was Lily's healing session that she did. Whatever she processed, it's completely gone. I went to sleep. It was like seconds.
What I remember, okay, so remember I talked about those emotional release oils. Well, we'll use a taboo word. I had psychically, I had intuitively, energetically felt the oil, I touched the oils. I know I want this one and I know I want this one. And so one of them was called inner child. And so what happens is there's a process for me that when I get an oil, now I have to determine if the person is ready for it or if where they are in their emotional thing. And so what will happen is it maybe will tell me like, don't even open the bottle. Don't even let the smell out. Or like you can open it and then I smell it. And if it usually will smell like pungent and yucky. And then it's up to me how I need to then help the person to get them a little bit more into that releasing state where they're ready. And I can usually tell, and then I smell the oil and it will turn into a lighter, easier smell. And whenever the person is really going to real release and they're doing it, it turns to the smell of honey. It's just so sweet. It's like you couldn't get a more honeysuckle, beautiful smell. It's like, and I love it whenever there's somebody and they experience it themselves and that smells bad. And then they just, the simplest little thing, they switch that switch and then they smell, they go, how that happened? Because you did it. You did it yourself. The oils go in to our consciousness. They go in, they pass the logic. They say that they go into the scent, the olfactory, if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. They go into that pathway that reaches us, reaches our heart, reaches our soul, and it shifts that energy. And so what happened is when she was saying this, and then all of a sudden, it didn't smell good. Okay, she wasn't quite ready. And then I did a little more work. And then she said something about how she was nervous about what she might experience if she let herself see what she knew that was already there. So then she started telling me how she knew stuff and that she would see things sometimes. And I said, so do you get this pressure a lot? She says, yeah, every time before I go to bed, it's just pushing at me. And then she says, and then like, I just want it to go away. And I said, do you realize that your pineal gland is trying to talk to you? And it's trying to say, I'm here, and you have the ability to be able to see things. You have the ability to be able to know things. It's like it was pushing, please let me out. Please let me work with you. And so I just did the simplest thing. And then it's like, I said, you're going to know whenever you're ready to be able to be comfortable. I said, you don't have to push yourself. You'll just know it. But I already felt like she was a person who could be extremely able to potentially be clairvoyant, where you actually see things, out there. You see things in your third eye, or you either dream them, And then she started telling me some things that were like she already knew because she had glimpses of seeing scenes or seeing information. So she was pushing against it. So I guess you must have been ready to just let yourself
The thing is that I'm not gonna lie, it's a little scary. It's a little scary if you're new to it. And because of the fear of letting go and accepting it, I was pushing it away and the pain would get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But once I let it go and I accepted it and I allowed myself to embrace it, it was almost like something was lifted. Like it's almost like an elephant sitting on your chest and it just got up and left. Like that's how it felt. And it was so relieving. It was refreshing. And that's the best way I could explain it. And ever since that feeling is gone, the pressure is gone. Like, and it'll come if it comes back. I know what to do now, to relieve that. I have to listen to your body speaks to you.
That's like the plants. Absolutely. It does. And our programming or continued narratives that we get that don't want us to wake up, those are still there pushing at us. And so, or a loved one, they're like letting you know, like, oh my gosh, if you get that way, you know, I'm not going to like it or whatever. It's like, and so we shut ourselves down. You know, it's like whenever a parent, whenever the little kid would say, mommy, mommy, you know, look there, there's something on the wall. They're seeing like a being, they're seeing an angel, or they're seeing something. They're able to see through the veil
Yes.
easier. And they're seeing something. And the parent says, oh no, that's your imagination. You're not seeing anything. They cut that connection that the kid has to being able to be its more authentic self.
Right. Right.
I don't see any more
Okay.
thoughts.
I don't see. Yeah. Yeah. I don't see any questions at all. Anyway.
Okay.
Well, again, thank
Yeah,
you, Lily, so very
I
much
just wanted to
for
mention, yes, thank you, Lily. Both of you guys, honestly, you and Lily have been such a huge help. And it's almost like I'm gaining new sisters. Beautiful, beautiful sisters, honestly. And I also wanted to just mention that soon I'm going to also be doing like table talks in a sense. I want to be able to do, I love to cook. I love to do like that natural home cooking, you know, try not to eat out,
Wow.
you know. And you get to control and see what you're putting in your food. So at the same time, I want to be able to open up the floor to have more conversations like this. You know, it shouldn't stop here. And you know, everyone's welcome, but I really, really, really appreciate both of you guys.
Well,
And
thank you. And I mean, I
thank
know
you.
that Monica has been doing this for a long time, and I know she has an audience, and she's done some amazing, pretty inspiring, as well as very wonderful videos to help encourage people to open up to, you know, their more spiritual side. And I know the X community, JW community, has its own thing, but when I went on that one night, just happened to see this video where this guy was talking, and I was like, "Whoa, what is he saying? Wait a minute, let me look." And it was Jimmy talking. I know that the XJW community is ready to let themselves really be their true authentic selves outside of the religion. And so I hope more people will
Yes.
join in helping
Yes.
us all grow.
yes,
That would be great to be
Yeah,
able to get
absolutely.
that positive feedback
Absolutely.
or that interaction, you know.
yeah.
So
There's so much more to talk
Absolutely.
about. This was just the beginning.
yes, ma'am. Thank you, Monica, so much
Absolutely.
for
Thank
having me,
you.
We have
darling.
to do this again.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes.
Absolutely. And as I
Yeah.
said, anyone
So
is
just
well.
remember, guys, remember.
I would like it if, you know, if anyone wants to reach out, they are welcome. Since a lot of people know Tony, Tony knows how to reach me without any problem. And Monica, it would be great if, you know, everybody can kind of, when she does a video, also, you know, because she does a lot of videos. She's pretty good at it. She's very spontaneous. So, and Monica makes all these herbal potions, these tinctures of, what are they? Elixirs with different herbs. And she has
Yes.
jams and jellies. And oh my
Different
gosh.
tinctures, oxymels, and salves, and yeah.
Yep.
I'm totally into herbal medicine.
Yes.
Same.
Totally
I got a
into
lot to
herbal
learn from
medicine.
you.
I have
A
lost
lot to learn.
240 pounds.
Wow.
That's, yeah. Thank you, everybody. We
All
appreciate you
right. Well,
being
thank you,
here.
Monica. I'll be heading out now, okay?
Bye bye.
All right. And remember, guys, who and what we are. We are sovereign, free spirit beings. Don't get stuck in that low vibrational field. Keep your vibrations high. And we'll talk again soon. I love you guys. Till next time. Mwah.